The controversial legacy of Donald Trump: lies, accomplishments, and media bias. Perception versus reality. A while back, I was scrolling through the news and came across two headlines about the same story. One praised the person involved, calling them a hero of the people, while the other painted them as a threat to democracy. It made me stop and think, how can two outlets look at the same event and spin it completely opposite ways? It reminded me of something I learned in psychology. Our perception of reality isn't always reality itself. It's filtered through our beliefs, biases, and narratives we consume. Few figures in history have been as polarizing as Donald Trump. Depending on who you ask, he's either a man who shook the system to its core or the ultimate villain in modern American politics. But what if the truth is more nuanced? What if we've been conditioned to see only one side of the story? Before we get started, what's up? My name's Nick Jackson, and my channel is here to give you insights on philosophy, psychology, conspiracy, and spirituality. If any of those topics interest you, subscribe to my channel and make sure to like the video to help me out in the algorithm. If you have a thought on anything from the video, start a conversation in the comments below. Now back to the video. Let's begin with the undeniable. Donald Trump is a lightning rod for controversy. From the moment he announced his candidacy in 2015, the media launched a full-scale assault on his character. Why? Because Trump wasn't just running for president, he was challenging the system. He was a billionaire outsider who dared to say, "I don't need your money, I don't need your approval, and I'm going to do things my way." Plato once said, "No one is more hated than he who speaks the truth." And whether you agree with Trump or not, it's clear he wasn't afraid to say what others wouldn't. But here's the twist. The truth isn't always black and white. The media, driven by profit and ideology, often frames stories to fit a narrative. A study by the Media Research Center found that 92% of network news coverage about Trump during his presidency was negative. 92%. That's not just reporting, that's campaigning. Now let's talk about what doesn't get as much attention: Trump's accomplishments. Whether you like his policies or not, there's no denying he's achieved things that many thought were impossible. For example, Trump signed the First Step Act, a bipartisan criminal justice reform bill that reduced sentences for thousands of nonviolent offenders and gave people a second chance at life. Van Jones, a prominent liberal commentator, even called it a Christmas miracle. On the economic front, Trump presided over one of the strongest pre-pandemic economies in history. Unemployment rates for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans hit record lows. He cut taxes for the middle class and brought manufacturing jobs back to the U.S., something many said couldn't be done. And let's not forget about the Abraham Accords, a series of historic peace agreements between Israel and several Arab nations. Henry Kissinger, one of the most respected diplomats of the 20th century, called it a breakthrough that could reshape the Middle East. I remember talking to a close friend during the 2016 election. They were furious about Trump's rhetoric, convinced he was the worst thing to happen to America. Meanwhile, another friend, equally passionate, was excited about his promise to drain the swamp and put America first. At first, I found it hard to reconcile these two perspectives, but then I realized something. Both of them were reacting to the stories they were being told. One was glued to CNN and liberal-leaning outlets, and the other watched Fox News and listened to conservative takes religiously. Neither of them was getting the full picture. It reminded me of Carl Jung's quote, "Thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge." Psychologists have a term for this: confirmation bias. It's the tendency to seek out information that supports our existing beliefs, while ignoring evidence that contradicts them. And in today's media landscape, confirmation bias isn't just encouraged, it's monetized. Algorithms on social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube are designed to show you what keeps you engaged. If you lean right, you're fed content that reinforces conservative values. If you lean left, you're bombarded with progressive viewpoints. The result? a deeply divided society where everyone believes they're right and everyone else is wrong. As Mark Twain once said, it's easier to fool people than to convince them they have been fooled. Let's entertain a conspiracy for a moment. Why is Trump so universally hated by the establishment? Some argue it's because he threatens the status quo. He was a billionaire who didn't play by the rules, who didn't need to cozy up with lobbyists or special interests. In 2016, Trump famously said, "I'm not a politician, I'm not beholden to donors, I'm here to fight for the American people." That kind of rhetoric doesn't sit well with a system that thrives on backroom deals and corporate influence. Could it be that the relentless attacks on Trump weren't just about his policies, but about what he represented? A break from the norm, a disruption to the carefully crafted illusion of control. On a spiritual level, the division surrounding Trump reveals a deeper issue: our inability to see the humanity in those we disagree with. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools." What if instead of focusing on what divides us, we looked for common ground? What if we questioned the narratives we're fed and sought out the truth for ourselves? Here's the takeaway. Whether you love Trump, hate him, or fall somewhere in between, it's important to think critically. Don't let the media tell you what to believe. Do your own research and question everything. As Socrates said, an unexamined life is not worth living. As always, thanks for watching. Keep learning, keep growing, and success will come. If this video made you think, share it with someone who needs a new perspective. Let's start a conversation in the comments below. I'll see you there. Peace.